No countdown? We're just going?
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Do You Even Transform, Bro? Do you?
Do you? You should.
We want to welcome everybody back. I know it's been a pretty newsworthy 2 weeks, so we're going to get ready to get into some fun times tonight. But before I do, just want to say thank you for joining us. If you are in the chat squad tonight, please hit that like and that share. As Dust always says, if you can share a meme, you can share a stream. Go ahead and put this out there in the ether. Let your friends know what you're watching for the night. Hopefully this Tuesday is going good for everybody. Let's go ahead and go around the chat squad. As you may notice, we have a special guest with us. And as always, we start with our special guest. Mr. Ben Yee is in the building. What's up, Ben? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thanks for joining us. We also got Rusty, the mechanic, in the building. What's up, buddy?
Yo!
And Scott, all the way from Scotlandia. What's up, Scotty?
You know, I'm just figuring out what it means to be a Texan. Don't yet have my big belt and bucket hat, but you know, they're
high electricity prices.
Yeah, apparently. Your hair's growing back, I see.
Yeah, letting it come back again.
Winter is coming.
There we go.
Tired of looking like a skinhead.
Man, that makes me think of Game of Thrones. Derek, what's going on, buddy? We also get Derek in the building.
What's up, everybody?
And this makes up your cast for Do You Even Transform, Bro, tonight. So we're gonna go around and ask how people's weeks were. But I want to start with a very special shout out to Mr. Derek B, who turned 50. That man is old. Them draws is old, but he make 50 look good, man. He making 50 look good. So let's start with you, man. How was your week or your 2 weeks since we recorded?
Oh man, it's been absolutely beautiful, man. You know, had a very nice last 2 weeks with turning 50. You know, I don't get into that 50 is the new 30 and all that. 50 is 50 to me. So, you know, because I still feel great, feel fabulous and all that good stuff, you know. Yeah, it's been an awesome last couple of weeks. Celebrated, had a bunch of my friends come down, including you guys, come down to, you know, help me celebrate on that Saturday. And yeah, man, it was an absolutely incredible time. We got to show up and show out, and you know, we did all that, man. Yeah, so if you're friends on my Facebook, you'll be able to see you'll be able to see some of the activity, but not all of it. I'm still working on getting some of that all together, but you know, we're gonna get that together for y'all soon. But yo, I just want to say, you know, for everybody that did come out and everybody that sent me their well wishes, thank you so much. And you know, it was really, really, really appreciated to see all of you, all your faces, and you know, get to, you know, dap you up, hug you, you know, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for everything. And you know, hey, I'm still walking on, you know, cloud 9, 10, 11, and 12. You know what I'm saying? So,
Nice.
So yeah, thank y'all so much. Thank you.
Hey man, it was a good time. Your wife knows how to put on a shindig.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
she,
sir.
yo, I told everybody, I was like, man, she put her foot in that party. Oh, my.
Yeah, it was a
really,
good time, man.
She really did it up, man. You know, so proud of, you know, I'm having camera issues, guys. Y'all gotta bear with me on this one too. But yeah, so proud of the work that she put into that. You know, you can definitely feel the love that she put all in that all in that party. So yeah.
For sure.
There's
For sure.
Some of the stuff
Go
I
ahead,
saw, I mean, it looked better than my wedding reception.
Yeah, it was a good time, man. It was a good time. And speaking of a good time, Scotty, you were down there. Go ahead and recap your 2 weeks.
Yeah, man. So yeah, we got a chance to partake with Derek in his celebration, which was awesome. I would say that it was awesome despite the fact that I had a car that wouldn't freaking start, a rental car.
What was up with that?
Yeah.
Well,
So
what
we got an
matters?
electric car. I'm like thinking, oh, this is gonna be great. I can rent a car.
Oh,
Charge. And got to the party, partied hardy, and then went out to the car to go back to the hotel, and nothing, dead. And the car saying that the 12-volt battery, which apparently they still need the 12 volt to start, despite the fact that it has its own, battery, and so we got it thanks to you, Eric, and somebody from the country club there. We were able to jump it. I got on the horn with Hertz, and they're like, yeah, if it does, because we had to be up at 4:00 in the morning just to catch our flight back to Texas, and so they're like, yeah, we'll take care of you if if it doesn't start in the morning, we'll send a lift and all that good stuff. Well, sure enough, it wouldn't start in the morning. We tried jumping it in the morning again, didn't work. So got that lift, and then Hertz had the audacity to charge me for an extra day because I didn't return the vehicle on time.
what?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had to get on the phone and take
After
care
all
of that.
that crap you had to go through with that car.
Yeah.
Yo.
My 2 days would have been free messing around with me.
Yeah. So despite that though, it was a good time. And then of course, we're down here in Texas, getting settled in down here, and got our electricity bill, and that electricity bill was 600 buckaroos for the month. So just adjusting to Texas life.
Yeah, that's that Texas life.
Man,
Oh no, we don't talk about politics on this thing. Gotta stop.
That's crazy, bro.
That's just
Listen,
an
with
energy
all
bill,
that sun and solar and stuff y'all got down there, there's no reason your bill should be $600 some odd dollars.
I thought you guys ran on gas and oil down there. Like, what's the? Well, anyway, whatever.
Yeah,
That's weird.
Can't explain it.
Jesus Christ. Well, let's go to Mr. Rusty. How was your week after that?
my power bill is definitely not as much as yours. So anyway, you know what? The last 2 weeks have been nothing but motorsports for me. Every weekend, it's been fantastic. So I actually got out to my favorite racetrack. My Cobalt SS was down. My power steering actually failed. I got a speed sensor that's gone on it. So like the speedometer is not even showing me how fast I'm going. And it's causing some weird acceleration issues. So I had to park that guy probably for the season, because right around the point where it's getting too cold to go out on the track anyways. Yeah. So probably park that guy until next year, get it sorted out. Got the parts sorted to get it fixed. I'll take care of it in the off season. But I went out to my favorite racetrack, took the Mini out there, had a bunch of fun with a bunch of guys. Actually hooked up with one of my guys. He's got a heavily modified 97 Mazda Miata with a turbo in it, and an engine swap. I can't remember what engine he's put in it, but he's pushing about 240 horsepower on a Miata, so that's a lot. And got a great video from his GoPro pointing back at me while I was chasing him, my GoPro pointing forward, chasing him. Tossed it up on YouTube. You can check it out on the Rusty Mechanic Drives, which is a new YouTube channel that I got going on, so you can check that out if you like cars. And then the weekend after that, I was out doing autocross with the guys in the Mini again. So running around in the parking lot with a bunch of guys, trying to chase down a guy in a 350Z who's in my class. He's always ahead of me. He's always in first, and just couldn't catch him again this week. But again, had a blast hanging out with, a bunch of like-minded individuals, just like us hanging out with Transformers, except I'm just hanging out with a bunch of motorsports guys. And unfortunately, with all of that being said, I did have a heartfelt, unexpected afternoon, so I'm hoping for a bit of a distraction with you guys this evening. But a very good friend of ours, my wife and I, that we know, as some of you know, like we rescue dogs, and through that rescue, and the Aussies that we own, we have become very close with a friend of ours who also has 3 Aussies. And in fact, her last adoption and our last adoption was actually peer pressure from either side, where we basically peer pressured the other person to adopt the dog. She turned around and peer pressured us to adopt a dog, and she had 3 Aussies, we have 2 Aussies, and we've become very close. Unfortunately, today she had to put her 13-year-old Aussie down, got diagnosed with cancer about 3 days ago. We spent the afternoon with her. It's doubly hurtful because she it was the first dog that she's ever adopted and owned personally, right? Not, with family or anything like that. And when she was going through a rough patch in her life, she actually had the dog trained as a service dog to help her out. So not only has she lost her first real pet, but it was also her service dog. And I've never seen a closer bond between an animal and a dog before. And unfortunately she had to put her down today. So not to bring everything down, but I think I can express this stuff to my realm family and get it off my chest, and appreciate you guys for being here, help with the distraction. We'll talk about Transformers, get into that stuff, and I can take my mind off of it. But unfortunately, my week is not starting off great. So,
oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, brother. Sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that for sure. For sure. Well, our special guest, Ben, I hope you've been having a pretty good 2 weeks. How's your 2 weeks been so far?
Work's been rough, so I barely remember a week ago, and I would rather not like to. What I will taught as a highlight is on Tuesday, I went to the New York City red carpet premiere of Transformers 1, which is very relevant to what we're talking about tonight.
Nice.
And with other fans, big excitement. Chris Hemsworth, Brian Tyree Henry, Keegan-Michael Key were all like 3 feet away from me. Got to see the movie on the biggest IMAX screen in New York City. For those not in the know, that is a 5-foot tall screen. So it's like watching a movie on the side of a building.
5 stories.
5 stories.
If you're going to watch Transformers 1, and you're in New York City, that's the way to do it.
Was that screening in 3D?
No, this was just regular. Then after, and what was nice about it was, since it was a Paramount event, you had a lot of the production people, the director, the actors, producers, everyone was in the audience. The director did a little, speech beforehand. Then they kicked into the movie, and then when we got to the credits, what was kind of fun was, as production people's names came up, you would hear cheering from different sections of the audience. So you knew that must have been like their family and friends, and it was really thinking that you're in that crowd with them. It was also cool because last year I went to the Rise of the Beasts red carpet premiere in Brooklyn, right? And a bunch of friends, who run like different sites like Unicron.com and so on, they were there as well. And we've been friends since the 90s, and last year we got to sit together, and then this year we got to sit together again. So it was kind of like part 2 of our red carpet experience. And we just look at each other now and then and go, can you believe we're here? Can you believe we're standing here? We figure, okay, we still got them fooled, so shut up and don't ruin it, and let's just enjoy it. And then after the movie, they had an after party at a party hall in New York City. So I went to the after party. Some nice food, great music. I need to post a video that I took of it on my site, and I got a picture with Keegan. That was really cool of him. I mean, he had a whole bunch of people asking him for photos, and it was just cool of him to take a photo with this schmuck who just kind of like scooched in from the side. I was like, "Sir, could you take a photo with me?"
Detroit's very own, man. Detroit's very own.
I hovered around Michael Bay for a little bit, but he was literally in a conversation with 2 different producers. So I said, all right, I'm going to leave this guy alone. But great party, great time. Really feel very humbled that Paramount even sees me worthy as going to such an event. And I had a great time with my friends. I mean, what more can a Transformers fan ask for tonight, right?
Good, man.
Yeah.
Good,
Nice,
man.
cool
That's
experience.
Awesome. Well, I had a pretty cool 2 weeks as well. Got a chance to drive down to my big bro's 50th birthday party. Got a chance to stay with them for a couple of days. We got there Friday, had some great food Friday night. Hung out Saturday during the day, just kind of chilled, relaxed for a minute, got ready for the party. Got to the party and that was cool. Got to hang out. We did his big entrance. If you're a wrestling fan, then you know about the bloodline. So we were able to recreate that for the bro. Got a chance to do that. Hung out. Play some games. We won some games. Shout out to your Rock fam.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And it was just a good time. Did that. Drove back home. Forgot some stuff down there at Derek's house that he got a mail back to us. So that was pretty cool. And then we got home and the week was cool. We ended this last week with just Siobhan got a new car, so we got our Volkswagen Tiguan. And so she likes that, and it's the Star line, so it's a little sporty, but still got the luxury features that she was looking for. She was like, as long as it's got a sunroof and a heated seat. And
that's what's up.
Good. Worked out good, man. So did that, and then now I'm here with you guys, man, ready to finish out the rest of the week, man, and hopefully we can do this movie some justice tonight, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. But before we do that, man, I think it's time to figure out.
Before we get into that, I just want to make this one comment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super happy that y'all won that contest. I'm kind of disappointed in my actual blood family members that they lost. I was like, how in the world do y'all not know this? And they do.
So for those of you who are watching that aren't familiar, this
Yeah.
contest was about, I think it was 20 to 25 questions about Derek's preferences. So for example, one of the questions was pancakes or waffles, right? Optimus Prime.
That's the only one. I think that's the one of the two that we got wrong. We got everything else right.
Yeah, and basically was that for and the Realm family just goes to show how close we are. We won that competition even over Derek's own family.
No hints, no clues, nothing like that, man. You had everybody hitting Sean up trying to get her to the table to give answers. I was like, yo, for real? Nah. Yeah,
well, I will say I cheated a little bit, and only because I got a chance to. Well, I stayed in his house for 2 days, so you kind of
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, there's that.
I was like, somebody was like, "Oh, he's got to be a Coke person." I was like, "No, he got a whole case of Pepsi in his house." So,
Nice.
and my daughter, she, thankfully, she asked that question that other night. She was like, "Do you guys have any ranch?" And Derek was like, "Nah, but we got Olive Garden Italian." And I was like, "Yeah, they ain't got no ranch." And I was on the list, so it kind of worked out.
That's funny.
Worked out, man. Yeah, it was a fun time.
Wow.
It was fun getting all that stuff together, man. We came too shy of winning the second game, and that one I felt like was more geared to your family.
Yeah,
for sure, man. But yeah, man. So let's go ahead and get into it and see how people spent their money this week, man. Let's see if anybody transformed, bro. Let's start with. Let me see what we got here. Is that it? Yeah, let's start with you, Scotty.
So I have got a bunch of stuff in flight, but I think this is going to be my first goose egg.
What? What?
Yeah, Showzi's just not showing up for me, man. I'm telling you.
They truly were. Oh man!
I got a thrust in a Menti thrust in flight, Legend Snarl, MP Brawl in flight. All of them not showing up yet. So
Yeah, man. Shout out to Showzi. Anyway,
move it along.
Let's move along. Let's go to you, Derek. What about you, man? Did you transform, bro?
So I did transform. I transformed for my birthday. Shout out to my man Roy, who hooked me up with a YOLO Park AMK series Scourge.
Oh, nice.
That's going to be nice to my YOLO Park collection. Nice addition. I still don't know. I'm still trying to figure out who gave me this. I can't remember who gave me this, but I whoever it was, please know that I appreciate this. This is real cute, and I love it. Big shout out to my man Trevor, the past, hooked me up with Pro Cutter.
Oh, right on.
Dude, I've been on a hunt for this mug for a minute now.
Nice.
And when I think somebody had it for sale, I like really down off, and I didn't have the funds for it at the time. I was like, damn it, I'm missing out on that too. So, but he got it all happenstance you know, because it was just like, you know, he didn't even know that I was looking for this, but because he told me if I didn't like it, let him know, and he'll get me something. I was like, dude, no, I love this, absolutely love it. So yeah, shout out.
Yeah,
to
that's
Trevor.
cool.
All right, so you know, speaking of my family, my family, there's a reason why Eric is laughing insanely hard right now, because what I'm about to show you all is something that my older brother got me for my birthday. And you know, I want to qualify this by saying he's not in the community like we are, and you know,
Right,
he loves his baby bro very much, and just he knows that his baby bro loves everything Transformers related.
No, that's peace.
So
That's peace.
as I qualified this, he got me this.
Oh my God! What?
And he bought the warranty for it, guys.
No.
Yeah. So he got it. So he got it from. Shout out to my big bro. Thank you very much. And you know,
Listen,
we had
no
a good laugh
offense,
about
man.
this.
No offense to the big bro.
Yeah. He called me. It was like, yo, did you like it, man? I was like, yeah, man, I loved it. He's like, man, stop playing. Did you really like it? I was like, yeah, it was cool, man. Thanks so much, man. He said, man, when I was walking in the Walmart aisle and saw that, man, I was like, that's deep right there. I was like, that's deep. I said, oh, okay.
So clearly he hasn't been over to mess with the other Optimus Prime.
Right. So oddly enough, and that's the weird thing, is because ever since we moved here, he hasn't been to my new house yet. So it's just like, okay, he hasn't seen like everything like really up, so,
like behind you.
Right.
Yeah, saw that. He wouldn't have looked at this and like, you know, right. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm happy to know that if something happens to this, I have a warranty that he purchased for this as well. So shout out to my big bro.
So what he's saying is something's gonna magically happen so he can just get his money back. It's all good, man.
Eric, you got to bring up the chat squad comments, man. They're on fire right now.
Yeah, they are clowning you, bro.
Robeson.
Oh no!
No.
Yeah, man. You know, but it's but like I said, it's from my big bro. It's from the heart. I love it just because.
You know what? He tried. Right, like honestly, he went out there and he looked. You know what I mean? So, man, yeah.
And it's like you said, he hasn't been to the new house, so he hasn't seen that figure set up. He hasn't seen, you know, he also hasn't seen the Robeson Prime that he has, because he has the auto converting one. So you know, he don't know no better, man. And that's how you know he's not in community. He's a normie. You gotta you gotta take it in stride, man.
There you go.
It is what it is, man. Well, Rusty, let's get you in.
Oh, wait, you got more?
No, I got one more.
Yeah,
one more.
You do.
All right, so now because I'm not showing everything. You know, I got a lot of cards, cash, and all that. I really appreciate gift cards. You know, all that. Thank y'all so much. But this last one, I actually was gonna text. Okay, so I'm just going to show it now. Just so to help the story. Now, y'all already know what this is.
Oh,
now imagine me calling, texting a person to say thank you for this particular gift. I literally had to rewrite my text messages 5 times before I said, you know what, I'm just calling. Shout out to Scott. Scott got me this for my birthday, and
what?
And I called him and told him this. I said, Scott, I literally was about to text you, but I had to erase my text like 5 times. The first text said, yo, thanks for my big load. Can't say that. Yo, man, really excited about this big load. Thanks. Nope, can't say that.
Nope, can't say that either.
No. Man, I really like this big load that you sent me, man. I appreciate the big load. I'm like, nope, can't say that either.
None
of
you know
what?
Is working.
I said, you know what? I'm gonna just call him and you just tell him thank you for long haul. Thank you very much. So yeah,
hey,
so we had a good.
I'm pretty sure. Thank you for my birthday gift would have sufficed.
Thank you.
I
for
wasn't
the
even thinking about that. I was just like, yo, I'm caught up on this
whole.
I'm caught up on his name, so you know. But But no, we had a real good laugh about that, man. We laughed
did.
hard about that one. So yeah, thank you
That's
so
funny.
much, Scott. Really appreciate you, bro.
Hey, brother.
And that
Hey, brother.
is it for the, for my latest haul.
Fair enough, man. Let's get Rusty in here. What about you, man? Did you transform, bro?
I have gone down some kind of rabbit hole that I'm not sure I'm ever going to recover from. I will start out with the rabbit hole I'm already in. And that is a reissue of RC from New Age.
Oh,
It's one of the best, bro. It is
Machine,
one of the best.
Machine and Mensch, which is German for something, but I haven't looked it up yet, so I don't know. So anybody that wants to tell me what it is,
Jewish.
you think
Mensch
it's
on a
Jewish? Mensch? I don't know.
Mensch on a bench.
I think
yeah.
Mensch is, I don't know, could be German, could be Yiddish, who knows. For my rabbit hole. So, Derek and I were talking about, what was it? Somebody, it was, no, it started out with Dust. Dust had picked up Swoop from a Canadian friend. It wasn't me, it was somebody else. Apparently, Dust has other Canadian friends. The Swoop from Studio Series, and then I went down and hung out with you guys in New Jersey, and I was wandering around on the floor, and I think I showed this already, but I had come across this guy, but I didn't pick it up because I knew my buddy Eric at Madhouse had one, so I decided to go ahead and support local, and I went ahead and I got it from him. But not only did that show up, but then I was wandering around in Toys R Us, because we still have those, and lo and behold, Swoop showed up.
Nice.
So I'm like,
Oh,
I'm picking
okay.
up Swoop. I got Sludge, I'll get Swoop.
Okay.
So I did that.
That's
And
what's
then on the day of Transformers 1 release in Ottawa, which happened to be a Thursday, the 20th, right next to the movie theater is another Toys R Us. And I decided I've got an hour to kill. I'm just going to run into Toys R Us and see what's up. Lo and behold, they had Springer.
Oh, wow.
So I picked up Springer.
Okay.
But sitting right next to Springer was Bumblebee.
Oh, you just a
Good
chug thug now,
grief.
bro.
So I've turned into some
Thug.
kind of chug thug for some reason, and I can't even explain how it happened.
Shout out to Jose.
But that is what I spent my money on this week.
So Ben, you and I have been around a while. Do you remember when the term chug first started showing up on the boards, and how
That was quite some time ago.
that was a
Yeah.
while ago.
and
Like,
the
that was when I
vitriol
was-
that would get passed around because of people
Oh,
who
yeah.
hated the name chug?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
People
I was
hated
collecting
the
the
name?
alternators,
Yeah.
and people were referring to the alternators as being chugs. So
Uh,
it's been
Yeah,
around
I
for
do
a
remember
while.
that.
I
do
don't
remember
remember
that.
alternators being called chugs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, I do remember people like the U.S. alternators being called
Yeah.
chugs. People refer
Yeah.
to those as chugs because at
Yeah,
that
I don't-
point, anything that was mainline adjacent, people were calling chugs.
I think nowadays though, no one would ascribe
Yeah.
that. Heck, you've got
Right.
a whole segment of fandom who doesn't even know what an alternator is. So
and
That's-
they were like
that's-
they were some
yeah.
of the first MP cars that I had before the MP cars was coming out.
Yeah,
And I used to use them as MP cars.
I definitely remember people kind of considering them MP, but so the C in chug is classics, right? Classics.
No, I get
came
it.
out
I
several
totally
years after
understand
alternators.
what you mean. I'm just telling you why people didn't give a fuck, and they just was like, "This looks like a main line." That's just what it
Fair,
was.
fair.
People did it.
Yeah.
People do dumb stuff all the time, though. I mean, we've seen it. All right. Well, Ben, let's see if you transformed this week, bro. Did you transform, bro?
so
Pick up anything?
at any given week, I have at least 2 boxes coming at me, right? So
Oh,
We need a
'Cause-
flex. We need a
because you
flex.
pre-order, right? You pre-order stuff, and then they change the dates on you all the time. You think you're spacing your orders out, and then they just all come at you, right?
mhm.
So I've
Yeah.
had
Shout
I
out
have
to
a
Mayfix.
stack of stuff that like we spend the rest of the show me just going through everything. But what I'll do instead is I'll talk about what I've opened this week.
Alright.
So,
There.
Nice.
I've got a little Earthspark Deluxe Jawbreaker here. It was a fun little
Yeah.
Dinobot guy.
Uh,
Kind of chunky, and I like that. I opened
Looks
up
solid, too.
Walmart exclusive. Let's see if he gets in the camera here. against me, maybe. There we go. Farrak from Star
right.
Raiders line,
Yeah.
who actually looks really good. I'm actually impressed. I didn't know his face was going to look so different.
It's probably the best
And-
repaint of Cyclonus that there's out there.
Although I love the toy one, the toy version one with the grid
Mhm.
stickers on him and everything. I think they did a fun job with that. And then Hasbro sent me a Transformers 1 promotional box of toys. There are photos of that on my socials, and one of the toys they put in there was Studio Series Megatron, who
Nice.
isn't on shelf yet. So I
Oh,
was very
wow.
happy to get this and get to mess around with him. He's fun. I'm working on his review right now.
Nice.
You got the insignia on the shoulder.
No, which is a shame. Actually, it's well, I guess we'll get into it when we talk about the movie. I suspect they could get another Megatron out in this
Oh,
line.
for sure.
Because
Absolutely.
this is a deluxe. You can kind of probably tell by the size of my
Mhm.
hand compared to the figure, right?
Mhm.
But I think there's a Voyager to come out of this character for sure.
Mm.
No, that's
And that's it for me. I don't want to take up too much time.
no worries,
Hey.
bro. Well, I guess that leads me. I did transform, bro. I got something else coming in the mail that seems to be in New York right now. But I did get my new age snarl.
Boo.
Um, so, you could tell when a hater didn't get his stuff. But yeah, I got my new age snarl, and it's cool. Transformation is a little wonky in the legs, but overall it's cool, man. I'm just happy to finish the set. I have to say though, it's standing up is a little weird because that little bump out underneath in his feet, which are the feet for the Dinobot mode, it sits weird. So, but other than that, it's cool, man. I can't complain.
User error.
Probably I
You think
transformed
so?
it without instructions.
I
so-
have
I saw him looking at the instructions before we went live. So
Yeah, I had to double check and make sure I had it right, and I did. So it worked. But
Do you even
know,
mistransform, bro?
hey, do you even mistransfer all the time? Apparently. All right, man.
That's
Well, that
good.
takes us to our next segment, man. Let's see if it still holds up. All right, Mr. Rusty, the mechanic. He is up tonight. Let's see what you got on the desk there, bud.
Well, for anybody let me get this out of the way. We don't need that in the shot. Nobody knows what that is. For anybody who doesn't know what this is the case for the Covenant of Primus, which was a book.
Wait 1 second. This
What?
is probably the funniest comment of the night.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I was going to mention that. Yeah. That's funny. Switch it to Ben, quick. Oh, he's off camera. He disappeared.
He's off camera. It's okay.
Just
We'll
like a
get it back
ghost.
on.
I'm here.
Go ahead,
Sorry, I
bud.
had to kick my cat out. What's going on?
All good.
Uh,
Okay.
There you go. We need you to.
Oh man,
Terrible.
we're gonna bring you in for a second. Brink wants you to say these are not the droids you are looking for.
Oh, I wonder why.
I wonder why.
Oh man. Oh boy.
That's awesome.
All right. Go ahead,
I'll
Rusty.
sneak it in
Sorry.
later. I promise.
Back to me.
All right, back to make you mad.
Back to you, buddy.
So this is for those of you who don't know, this is the case that holds the Covenant of Primus, right? Which was a book that got released in, I just looked this up, 2013, I think it was. And the idea behind this book was it was meant to be the Bible by which all future Transformer stories was supposed to follow. They were basically it ended up being called, right, the aligned continuity, where they were basically rewriting to some degree the history of Cybertron and the Transformers and bringing some of that mythology in with the Primes and Primus and Unicron and all that fun stuff. And it's a really cool book. It's over 150 pages. It's actually written from the perspective of Alpha Trion. and it's supposed to represent one of the artifacts of Primus, right, called the Covenant, which is basically where Alpha Trion kept the history of Cybertron and the Transformers and all that fun stuff. And I thought, since we're going to get into the movie obviously later, right, that the movie has the Transformers 1 movie has done a really good job of actually following a lot of the elements that are described in the Covenant of Primus. So I thought it'd be cool to look at it, talk about it a bit, and see, does the Covenant itself and the details in it still stand up to the movie without diving into the movie too much and everything else. And I thought I'd start it off first with actually showing off the case, because for anybody who hasn't seen this, you're probably looking at it and going, how do you get the book out? But the book actually the case actually opens and makes the classic Transformers sound when they're transforming. So we'll see if the speaker still holds up, if my batteries are still working, because I haven't actually tested it since I took it off the wall. So we'll check it out. I'm just going to move the microphone over here. So when you do
turned on too.
Is it on? Yes, it's on. Okay. So it will. So every time you move a panel, I don't know if you guys heard that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we heard it.
That's pretty cool.
So the sound isn't great, right? Like it's a very bad speaker, right? I mean, if I turn this around and show it in the camera there, that's the size of the speaker right there, right? So that's all.
Well, it was still pretty loud though.
But it's enough. Yeah, you can actually adjust the sound too with the switch. Like it's actually got a low, medium, high setting here.
Oh, nice.
So that's kind of cool, right? So you can actually adjust how loud it is and all that stuff. But then of course you get the book inside the case itself, and you can actually hang this. You can actually hang it off the wall, right? Now, there's a lot of weight. There's a lot of weight to this book. So I don't actually hang this on the wall with the book in it, because I'm afraid it's going to come crashing out of the wall. But you can do that.
Hey, you put that nail in the stud, and you know.
Well, yeah, if you do it that way, right? But yeah, then you're okay. So I'm just going to close. Wait, I did it wrong. I'm going to close this up. You get it out of the way. Put it over here. So the book itself is actually, so the movie is actually based on. I'm just going to go to the chapters, because the chapters are actually starting off with the 13 Primes, talks about Unicron, talks about the War of the Primes, which happened in Transformers 1, right? We had a War of the Primes. Age of Evolution, Age of Origins, and Age of Wrath basically talks about the evolution of Cybertron. The Age of Wrath actually talks about the Quintessons actually invading Cybertron, which again happens in Transformers 1. Mm-hmm. And then we get into the Golden Age, which is where the Transformers or the Cybertronians actually drive the Quintessons out. The Age of Rust, and then the Great War. So the Transformers 1 movie kind of fits into basically the 3rd to the 5th chapter of this entire book. And it's pretty close in detail to again, a lot of the details that they put into the movie, where they talk about, the movie talks about there being 13 primes, talks about Primus. The Covenant describes a prime called 13, which, as you go through the book, you actually find out that it is actually Optimus Prime. So, of course, in the movie, we see that, it's Orion Pax, and he becomes Optimus Prime because Primus chose him. Spoilers, by the way, for anybody who hasn't seen the movie yet. Maybe you should be watching this episode.
That's your night.
It's not your night. Come back another time. But there's a lot of cool details in this book. And while the movie takes some liberties away from this, for example, the names of the 13 primes, for example, Sentinel Prime is not actually one of the original 13 primes. He's actually elected by the Quintessons to become a prime. That's depicted in the book, right? So there's a bit of a liberty there in the movie, and a few other minor changes. But to be honest, if you watch the movie and you haven't read this book, it's worthwhile picking this up if you can, or getting it online, wherever you can get it, and actually reading this, because if this is the future of Transformers, then I think that the future Transformers looks amazing. And there's a lot of really good canon in here, mythology, storytelling that's in this book that they could easily grow the Transformers franchise in a brand new direction for us that I think that we can actually all accept and be happy with. So does this book hold up now that we have a brand new storyline coming with Transformers 1? It absolutely 100% does. And I'm super happy and excited that this movie actually aligns with this aligned continuity, that they've gone back to this Bible and they're going to use this going forward, hopefully, to give us some kind of bright future for the Transformers. And the fact that this thing still works, it totally holds up.
Yeah, that's cool.
Do you keep the batteries in there, or do you take them out and then?
No, I just left it on the wall and left the batteries in there because I hate taking the batteries out and trying to find them later on and all that stuff. So
I mean, it's not like you use special batteries, so you know.
No, I mean, there's always the risk that when you leave batteries in something, right, that they can burn out and corrode, right, and then it ends up damaging the electronics, right. But obviously that hasn't happened here. And I mean, I have had this thing. I didn't get it right when it came out, but it wasn't like I've had it for a good 8 years, I'd say. So it's been hanging around the house, sitting on the wall and all that stuff for 8 years, and it still works. Speaker still works. Sound still sounds okay. So
yeah, I've had mine since it came out, and mine's not as tight as yours. You know, mine's a bit loose. So you know, I've taken this. You know, first of all, when you first got it, you open it up on purpose a couple of times just to hear that sound. And that sound literally came out of Transformers Prime. The conversion sounds. It's not from the original G1. It came from out of the Transformers Prime series. But that book, to your point, it really gives you an insight on what's going on with the movie that they're doing right now. And you know, if you don't have it, well, too bad, because you ain't gonna be able to find this mug.
You're probably not gonna be able to find it. You're gonna be paying
about
a
nickel for it. Can be had for $225 to $250 plus shipping on eBay.
That's
right
almost almost as much as your electricity bill in Texas. God,
I know, right? Yeah, dude.
It's $3.99. It's $3.99 on Amazon right now.
It's how much?
$3.99.
It's $3.99. Is that what he said?
Crazy.
Wow.
It's $3.99 on Amazon right now.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody would like a copy, if anybody would like a copy, I will. I'll have it up on my eBay site tomorrow. But it's a good book, and again, I've talked about the Exodus novel too, which also, like, it ties in, like, it literally feeds off of what's in the Covenant of Primus. So those two books together will give you a fantastic background into what it looks like, the direction that Paramount is now taking with, you know, this animated series. I would love to see a new TV series based on all of this now, right? If they could give us you know, a few seasons of this, there's lots to build on, especially with all the stuff that's in the Covenant of Primus. So I'm excited.
Transformers 2 and Transformers 3.
Yeah, right? Transformers, the TV show.
Beans, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Move some things back around, man. Well, it's 8:43. I think it's time for us to go ahead and get into our main topic here, man.
The meat.
So let's get into it. Scotty, you got your topic list there?
I do. So tonight we're going to be talking about Transformers 1. So warning right off the top of the show right here is, if you haven't seen it and you are concerned about spoilers, we would ask that you shut us off or pause and go and see the movie, and then come back and revel in the fun. So Transformers 1 was made for $75 million. Now, it's generally a rule of thumb that movies spend about 50% of their overall budget in marketing. However, when you have a movie that's made for as inexpensive as Transformers 1, it is possible for them to actually spend as much as the budget. So just roughly the math, in order for these guys to clear, they need to make between 125 million and 150 million in order for this to break even. Okay. Opening weekend, we saw Transformers 1 pull in roughly $25 million. And that is inclusive of the Wednesdays and Thursday showings that were kind of limited showings. So that kind of gives us the basic numbers behind it. And what we're going to go and do is just kind of a round robin on several of the topics regarding Transformers 1. And we're going to start with our expectations going in. Thoughts on the trailers?
Well, let's start with our special guest, Mr. Ben Yee. What were your thoughts?
I was worried from the initial trailer. I think the first trailer really focused far too heavily on the humor aspect of the film, and it made it look really silly. Now, months leading up to the film, we were hearing about it, right, in the geekosphere online. So we knew that the story was going to involve Orion Pax, D16 being friends. We all know what's going to happen to those two eventually. And I kept thinking this trailer is very incongruous story-wise with what we've heard so far. That said, it looked beautiful. You know, the animation looked great, the texturing looked amazing, and it hinted at a very strong production design, especially the scene where we see the surface of Cybertron, and the scene where we see the Quintesson ship come down. That's all in the first trailer. And then eventually they put out the second trailer, which was much, much better, because I think the second trailer is better representative of how the film transitions from a very lighthearted, kid-friendly, humorous film, and then slowly descends into a very serious, dramatic, and tragic tale. And the only objection I had to that trailer is, by the time I had seen that trailer, I had seen the movie once already, and they gave away way too much in that trailer. And I thought, whoa, there's so much stuff you should be saving for the theater. And then the day the movie came out, oh yeah, especially all the shots of the final battle between Optimus Prime and Megatron, they didn't need to show off.
Oh,
it was way too much.
Yeah.
Like when his axe comes out, all that stuff. Like, leave some.
Yeah, but they didn't show that as if he was fighting Megatron. Still didn't know what was happening. You just thought he had a badass axe, which we know him since he was a kid.
Well, there's a quick shot of him grabbing
really
Megatron's turret and ripping it off. And they didn't.
Yeah, but you didn't know that was Megatron, though. I didn't think they knew that was Megatron.
They showed Megatron.
It was a turret. That you talked the small one. Yeah, now that part I did think. Well, I mean, we did with the
but right before the movie actually came out, they put out what they call the final trailer, and man, you're like, guys, leave something for people to see in the theater, because that trailer just went on and on. And I thought, okay, it's gorgeous. It looks amazing. Like, visually, it's a stunning trailer. But holy cow, it basically took you through the whole movie. And I said, no.
But I think that's the trailer they probably should have dropped initially, because that's the trailer that got more people interested to go see it at the last minute.
Yeah. So I think
more mature, it was more focused. Yeah.
Trailer wise, I think it was a misstep to start with the trailer that they did. I actually think trailer number 2 should have been the first trailer. And then you could have done like the silly humor trailer later on when you got more people interested. But that
I think the silly humor one is the one you show when it's already out.
Like,
just a quick little
fair.
snap.
Yep.
And that's it.
Totally down with that. But yeah, it's unfortunate, because other than that, they've been doing really great with the marketing, you know. But I think that initial step out the gate, they just tripped on that initial step.
Yeah. Rusty?
I mean, I would say that I think if you release the trailers in the opposite order, then the humorous trailer becomes useless, right? It might get us interested right away, but I feel like all the movie trailers that we get now are in that sort of vein, right? It's like the first one, it's like, hey, are you aware that this movie is coming out? And then the second one, like, gives you a bunch, right, and gets you interested in the movie. And then by the time the movie was ready to come out, they dropped this trailer that basically gives you the entire movie, and then we're all sitting there going, why did you do that? You know, to me, none of the trailers took anything away from the movie. It was like, there was enough still going on in the movie for me anyway to keep my interest and get me excited and all that stuff. You're right though, but I had the same feelings as you, Ben, right? Like when that first trailer came out, I was going, this is for kids, right? And then the second one comes out and you go, oh, maybe it's not, right? I'm not even sure they needed to show Optimus or Megatron in either trailer. I think it would have been cool to leave it out, right? And we still would have been excited about the movie, and it would have been a cool thing we didn't get, right?
Yep.
That, you know, like the reason why we paid to go to the theater, we got to see Megatron and Optimus fight it out, right? But you're right, the trailers kind of gave too much away again, but that just seems to be the trend with all movies these days, right?
Exactly. I was about to say that's not just Transformers 1. I think movies in general have this problem nowadays.
Cool. Derek, what about you, man?
So when the initial trailer first came out, I instantly thought, I was like, oh, come on, man. Not this. You know, and you know, I said, okay, I'm gonna be open-minded. I'm gonna, you know, see how it comes out, and you know, hopefully it doesn't disappoint, and you know, we'll go from there. And you know, that trailer just kept repeating over. You know, you kept seeing it week after week after week, and it's just like, God, I have such down hopes for this one, man. So when they started showing the early screenings for it, I got even more concerned, because it's like, okay, now you're taking away from the box office, what those box office numbers are going to potentially be, because if this movie isn't good, then, you know, they're not going to come back out and actually purchase a ticket to want to see it. So then there's that, and there's that worry. So when I finally got into the theater to see the movie, I mean, I'm so happy with how everything worked out with it, because it was like, for me, it felt like after seeing the movie, they didn't give you too much, and they gave us exactly what they probably should have done at the time. But I'm with you all in the consensus of, you know, they shouldn't have done the first trailer the way that they did, because it turned a lot of heads away from it. As to say, it was going to be some goofy Toy Story driven type movie, and you know, we're going to be following Buzz Lightyear and Cowboy in the form of Optimus and Megatron. Woody, yeah. We're going to be following around Woody and Buzz Lightyear in the form of Optimus and Megatron throughout this entire movie, and it's going to be a goofy show. But I'm glad I was wrong, because it was incredible. It was incredible. The movie was really good to me, and you know, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And you know, it was so good that I got the special popcorn tin and the cup with the head on the cup with the light up eyes of Optimus. One for Optimus. I got an Optimus for me, and I got a Bumblebee for Sean. It was, man, it was dope, man. I wish
they got y'all
right now.
They got y'all.
You guys. Man, you guys buying these popcorn buckets at the movie theaters? I know a guy that bought the Dune popcorn bucket. I was going, what are we doing
that thing
with our money? It is weird, right? Anyway, anyway.
I got a theater room here, so when I have guests and anyone come over and watch the theater, I'm like, yo, y'all want popcorn? I'm gonna bring some buckets out and be like, man, popcorn in that joint.
They saw you coming. They saw you coming as soon as you walked through the door.
They definitely saw me coming. That's one theater. You got all different theaters, got all different types of merch.
Oh, did they? Oh, neat. Okay.
I gotta go check out and see what AMC did. We went to Regal, but shout out to Jedi Mindset, because we went together to go see the movie and whatnot. So yeah, we really, really had a great time. And we went out and ate dinner after that. But yeah, the movie to me was fantastic.
Cool. Scotty?
So Rusty, were you the one that said that you're not sure Yuck Yuck trailer should have came later?
Yeah. I think I think if you throw that trailer in later, it becomes useless, right? Because you've already got the good trailer, and then you end up with this silly trailer, right? So I
am forced to agree with my other melanin challenged friend on the panel tonight, in that I think that as much as the Yuck trailer, the Goofy trailer at the beginning turned me off as well, and I had the same interaction or reaction with that trailer that many other people did, which was, oh my God, where's this going? I really think that they're stuck with a pickle, in the sense that they have to appeal to the kids with an animated trailer, because adults in the US do not go see animated films in large quantities. And so they had to try to pull in the kids. And I didn't see the other two trailers before. I actually still haven't seen the other two trailers. Didn't watch them because I just didn't want to be more turned off by it. And so I was just like, I'm going to go see it. And it is what it is. And of course, we'll get into the rest of the film and our thoughts on it. But that was my thoughts on the trailer and my expectations going in.
Man, listen, I went into this with the total expectation of this movie being good, and I was right. The trailer did seem like a buddy cop. It did seem like Woody and Buzz. And every Woody and Buzz movie that I've watched, I loved every Toy Story movie. So I knew that this Transformers 1 movie would be good for the purpose of what they set it out for. And that was to get the kids involved, get them on the rope, and appeal to adults. Every Toy Story movie has done that. Every Shrek movie has done that. Every Disney and Pixar movie has found a way to not only appeal to the kids, but get the adults involved as well. And they end up becoming franchises, and that was their goal. And I feel like they have the ability to set this up to be a franchise of movies. And so I enjoyed it. Opening weekend, the numbers are what they are. But I do think that they will get that little bump. It's getting colder out. This movie will probably stay in the theaters for about 2 months, as opposed to, I think the normal run is about a month now, and then they transition to like dollar shows, and then they go streaming to be out in like 4 months after release. So
still do dollar shows?
Yeah, they got dollar shows, drive-ins and stuff like that still up this way. So you'll be able to see it for cheaper if you wait a little bit. But I think it's worth a second watch. I think this is a movie that had a lot of adult themes that kids didn't necessarily go over their heads, like dealing with friendship, dealing with adversity, wanting to be better than what society tell you are. And I think that was all stuff that was pretty encouraging to the next generation of Transformers fans, man. So I'm looking forward to what comes next. But I did want to go back and highlight Ash Bailey made a good comment. He said the trailers are to get the normies to go.
Yeah.
They aren't really for the advertising to the hardcore fans. And I get it. I would agree with that. The thing about trailers is, so the comedy one was a sneak peek, right? That wasn't necessarily meant to be a major trailer. The trailer was the second one. That was the more public mainstream trailer. The third one was, all right, this is what you got. Like, let's get this final push to try to get these numbers up. And I think they did the job, man. I never go by what critics say. I'm not a critic guy. There's been times where people say, oh man, that movie was great, and I thought it was absolute trash. And then I also thought a movie was good that the critics tore up. So you got to go give this movie a chance for yourself.
Agreed. All right. So the next topic is
real quick.
Go ahead. Sure.
To touch back on, the theater thing. When we first got to the theater, they had the 3D show. We paid for to see it in IMAX. Y'all know you can see it in IMAX, you can see it in 3D, you can see it in IMAX 3D, and there's different varieties that you can see it. We went in there, we paid for IMAX, and they had the 3D. So we got no glasses. Everybody in the theater walked out the theater and was like, hey, we don't have glasses. They're like, what are you talking about? It's in 3D. So, we got to change. We got the theaters wrong. So they had to switch them out. And so they had to start the movie over.
No shit.
Show it in the IMAX in which it was supposed to.
That's funny.
Yeah, I saw it in IMAX too. IMAX was dope.
I see everything in IMAX. I wanted to see this one in 3D. I was like, nah, let me go see it in IMAX first. I want to see.
I bet that race scene would have been cool in IMAX.
Yeah, probably would have. Yeah.
The race scene was pretty decent in 3D too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I meant in 3D.
All right.
I will throw it quickly. My theater experience was an entire theater to myself, except for the guy and his daughter that were sitting 6 seats to my left, and there was nobody else in our theater. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
All right.
it was a Thursday afternoon at 5 o'clock, so that's probably part of it. But anyway,
Oh, it wasn't the official opening day.
no, the Friday I guess was the official opening day, right? But for some reason they had a bunch of showings in around the city on Thursday. So anyway, sorry, Scotty, go ahead.
Thursday might be the new opening day for a lot of movies. A lot of stuff come out Thursday at like 7 o'clock or so.
Yeah.
Go ahead, but
All right, so to keep this one moving along a little bit, because we're gonna hit on the voice actors and their performances, because obviously when you have kind of like big people like Peter Cullen and Frank Welker who are not involved in it, and the voice actors for us as fans definitely has an impact, and so we're gonna go around the room. We're gonna say whether the voice actor was a win or a loss for the film. And then just keep it to like a sentence or two of like why you believe it was a win or a loss if you want to elaborate. All right. So we're gonna start with Ham, who was Sentinel Prime. Ben.
If you're gonna cast someone as Sentinel, especially given what happens in the film, John Hamm's the perfect guy for it.
All right. Cool. Perfect. Rusty.
I didn't think he gave enough presence to Sentinel Prime. Like his voice didn't give enough of a threat for me.
Okay. All right. Derek. Sorry.
Sentinel Prime was always the a-hole in every continuity of Transformers. So yeah, he played that role perfectly. He voiced him perfectly. He enunciated him perfectly and everything because he sounded like the a-hole that's a jackass.
A condescending jerk.
Yeah. That's absolutely Sentinel Prime. So yeah, he nailed it.
I would agree with Derek.
Okay. All right, and yeah, I don't think that Sentinel Prime needs to have a great presence because he actually is kind of taken over to a certain extent that sniveling Starscream-ish persona for me in some of these franchises, so I was okay with it. All right, so next is Fishburne as not only the narrator at some points, but also our beloved Alpha Trion.
We're gonna go the opposite way. I think he was perfect for that role. He's a lot older now. He has a sage-like voice. He kind of reminded me of Morpheus in the Matrix, but with that raspy, not just an oracle, but a military general leader, which they were trying to make him out to be. So I thought he did good for the job. Derek?
Agreed. I think having a Lawrence Fishburne play a role such as Alpha Trion is brilliant. If you've seen his voice work over the last couple of movies, like he was the narrator in TMNT when they first opened. He has played other characters as well in that particular space. So having a Lawrence Fishburne play that role and to also give it the spice of him doing having an action scene in that, and still pulling that off was really, really brilliant. So yeah, kudos to Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, definitely my top for that one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like it definitely had that Morpheus feel to it, right? And he brought that like everything that we've known to know and love about Alpha Trion, right? About he's the father of Transformers to some degree, right? And it brings all the wisdom to a character like that, right? And again, a presence. So the opposite of what I was getting from John Hamm is, right? Is you felt that presence coming through the screen, through the character, through his voice. I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head that would have fit that role better than Lawrence Fishburne. That was an excellent pick, and he did really well.
So other folks have mentioned it already, but Fishburne was the perfect meta casting because once again he plays the robed wise man who opens the eyes of the young hero as to the true nature of his world, and he does it brilliantly. Also, his voice was perfect for what Alpha Trion is, who is the scribe of the 13. He's the storyteller, the archivist. So to have him do that was absolutely perfect.
All right, Scotty.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say amen to that. All right, Keegan Michael Keyes as Badassatron.
Yeah, let's go back in reverse again. I think Keegan Michael Key played a good Bumblebee. I didn't think we would have a person of his caliber play such a quote unquote sidekick character and do it well. And I think he did a good job of playing that character. He was the chummy, fun-loving sidekick who just wanted to get out of where he was eventually once he realized he could. And I think he played it well, especially when he was coming into his own powers. It was funny. He did a good job. You can't have anybody but a comedian play that role if that's what you're going to make that character. So I think they did a good job. Derek?
As we've seen many iterations of Bumblebee, all the way from Dan Gilvezan to not hearing him at all. You've seen different types. You've seen him written in several different ways. If you're going to do this characterization of Bumblebee, then Michael Key is definitely the one to be able to play this. I mean, I can think of others that could have done the same thing, but with the energy that he brought to that role, he nailed it for what it was supposed to be executed. So I would say Michael did a good job as well. I would have liked to see, but because of the way the movie was themed, you never know what's going to happen in the future. Because if you may see some characters change the tone of their character. You may even see it in Bumblebee later on. But that's what's beautiful about this whole thing, because it has the potential for growth. So yeah, I think he did a great job.
Yeah, for the character, the way they wrote Bumblebee for this movie, like Eric said, right? It's got to be a comedian. It's got to be somebody with energy, or it's got to be somebody who can be goofy. He fits. And I'm sure that there's a bunch of other people that probably could have fit into that character, as a voice actor, whatever. But he filled it perfectly, right? He did what he was supposed to do. I am concerned though that if Bumblebee and Eric, it's funny that you brought that point. If Bumblebee's character does evolve the way that his character is described in the Covenant of the Primus, Exodus, and Transformers Prime, maybe he's not the right guy for that voice, because Bumblebee does evolve at some point to the non-goofy, more serious, right? The war takes its toll. So is he the guy to keep being Bumblebee? We'll see. But for this movie, I have no issues with it. He did a really good job.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to echo what everyone else said, so I won't say all that again. But what I will say is you needed to cast Keegan for that AA-tron gag.
Yeah.
I think, fair enough. Fair enough.
I roared every time I heard it. I've seen it 3 times so far. Every time I saw it, I lost it at that scene. And when there were members of the audience who got it, and when they did it, I turned around and looked at them like, what is the matter with you? Come on. These are the jokes, people.
Yeah.
For me, I wasn't overly impressed or disappointed in the role. All I can say is that anything other than the beeps and boops of Bumblebee not speaking was an improvement for me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, ScarJo as Alita 1.
Start with Ben.
Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
Okay.
No, yep. Go ahead.
So I love ScarJo. So I'm so biased. It's ridiculous. She did a good job, but have we heard better Alitas? Yeah, we have. I actually like the voice in Earthspark a little more. I love that version of Alita. But ScarJo did a good job. I think that her best scenes were the ones where she was used as a foil to ground Orion, or bring Orion up a bit emotionally and help him understand what his role is and his potential. I think those were the best scenes of hers. All the other scenes were fun, like her humor scenes were funny, but they were kind of like not my favorite scenes for her. I think she was best when she was playing it straight.
Rusty?
Same idea. I mean, I think like she did fine. And I think that Chris Hemsworth and her already having chemistry, right, from doing the Marvel, right, the MCU movies, right, probably helped in those interactions, right. But there was the one scene when they got on the surface, the train crashed, and she snapped the map away from Orion, right, and she said, what was it? Look, mister, who hasn't gotten me killed in the last 10 seconds or something along that line, right? And the way that she pitched that line just made me go, maybe you do have some skill here as, you know, as a voice actor and not just a, you know, a pretty face or somebody who knows Chris Hemsworth, right? Or someone, you know, who's done work with Chris Hemsworth before, that she actually brought something to that character right in that moment that kind of made me impressed with what she was doing. Again, she was fine in the role. I think you could have grabbed any number of female actresses to play the role. She just didn't bring anything special to Alita 1 for me. She was fine.
I will say though, she got two of the best lines. The Stan Bush reference and the GoBot reference.
Yes, yeah, the GoBot reference was the other one too, which made me roar as well.
right, I did.
Yeah, because I think I was watching the movie and I went, oh, when she actually said GoBot, so that was kind of funny, yeah.
So with Kojo, I mean, we all know who she is. We all know what she's done, and you know the roles that she's played. When you're voicing a character, you're trying to get the attention of your audience, making your character believable. You know, although I think she did a great job voicing the character. It wasn't a character that I was looking at the old time. I was like, okay, what's she about to do and everything, because it was that it wasn't a boisterous amount of energy that she put into the role. Sort of it was, but you know, it wasn't that energy, or maybe it was the way she was written that, you know, it didn't really captivate me. But I'm not disappointed in the character at all, as we said before, and we've talked about this on each actor we've talked about already. That character development is going to be real important when it comes to the next couple of movies that they'll potentially do. So yeah, that's we've yet to see what they're going to really do with these characters. So I would say that she did a good job for what she's been given.
I'm gonna say it's not her fault that character was a dud for me. We know she has chops, but they messed Alita 1 up. And I did not dig. Like, I thought she was cool with some of the stuff that she said, like the stuff that's nostalgic, but making her the arrogant prick inside the mines just didn't seem like Alita 1 to me. It seemed like a Hot Rod character, like an arrogant young prick trying to make a name for herself. And then, you know, you find out all this about yourself. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't jive. It didn't seem like Alita 1. It didn't even seem like Ariel. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, there was some misses there. They wrote her bad for me, and it wasn't ScarJo's fault. I think she voiced the actor okay, but I think that character alone just didn't do it for me.
For me, this was the one voice actor I could have really handled somebody else in the role, just because every time she spoke, I was hearing ScarJo. And then of course there was the two references. One was her being the only responsible person in the room during the mine scenes, and then the whole "I do everything better than you" comment. That I felt like at that point, when that, after the mine scene, after the "I do everything better than you" comment, I was like, okay, where are they going with this? Are they going to go down a hole of the female character is the greatest, best thing or whatever? They didn't do that, which I was really happy about, but it did taint the character a little bit for me. So all right, so Henry as Megatron.
Go ahead, Ben.
Henry as
my
Megatron was
Tyree.
the best one, in my opinion. He was the best of the core ensemble. The turn he has to do from a very innocent, fanboyish D16 who is filled with life, filled with enthusiasm, and a weird type of optimism, but an unfortunate ironclad trust in authority, all the way as he starts changing into Megatron, where he develops his voice, which you hear in the trailer, when he says "rise up" and all that. It's still him. You hear it. You're like, yeah, that's the same guy, but he's doing something real different.
Yeah,
And it's hearing the character grow up over the course of the film into what we know he will become. He just did a stunning job, and I went in not sure if he was going to be able to pull it off, and he totally did.
Yes, sir. Rusty.
So I agree. He did a really good job in evolving that character, right? As a voice actor, and when you have nothing to lean on but your voice, right, then you've got a lot of extra work to do to make that character evolution happy. From, like you said, right, happy-go-lucky, starry-eyed, the future is bright, all the way down to the descent into tyranny, right, and anarchy, and the whole 9 yards. There were just too many moments in the movie where again, I feel like he has a unique voice as well, right? And there were too many moments where his voice came through and didn't fit in with what I thought Megatron would have sounded like or said in that moment, right? Even like throughout different moments in the movie, and it kept catching me off guard the way that he would string a sentence together, the cadence and pitch of what he was saying was just enough to throw me off that it took some of the enjoyment out of it for me. Again, he did a fantastic job evolving that character in a short amount of time, right? In the time that he was given, there was just enough moments that the way he put a sentence together and presented it threw me off.
The role of a voice actor is to tell you who that character is, tell you a story about that character, from start to finish. Why'd you bring Jack back? Them lines like that, hearing him talk like that, was teaching me who this character is and what he's about to do. As from all three acts, it's just like, you followed this character throughout the entire time. His job in doing that was absolutely incredible, because Megatron, you've always saw him as the tyrannical ruler in every story arc, even when because you don't see D16, you always see Megatron. To see that character be explained the way it was, and for him to play the role that he did with it and evolved it the way he did, was really nice. Really nice. And shout out to him for that role. It can only get better from here.
Yeah, I think he probably showed the most range as a voice actor in that movie, to go from the friendly, kindly buddy cop guy who needed to keep his friend out of trouble, who's always getting into trouble, to eventually becoming the guy who was like, you know what, screw this. I'm tired of living on the bottom. I'm tired of dealing with this. I'm tired of cleaning up your mess. I'm tired of taking stuff from them. This guy who I thought was my hero is a liar. I just don't understand it. Like, I'm over all of it, and it's time for a new ruler, and I'm going to be the guy to see the anger change over time. You can see how somebody would go down that rabbit hole, and I think he was probably the most relatable character of the movie.
Yeah. Excellent performance. Probably the weightiest performance in a animation that I've seen in a long time, at the moment where he lets go and says, I'm no longer going to save you.
Yeah.
That to me was, Hemsworth.
Are we getting to one more?
Are you wanted to do Buscemi?
Yeah, I just want to make sure he's in there or something.
All right,
let's do him first.
Buscemi first.
I'll start. Yeah, I think his voice is terrible for Starscream at the beginning, But then when he got that windpipe crushed, it made more sense, and I was like, okay, that's Starscream.
Yeah.
And I thought, I do think the sniveling, deceptive kind of guy, Buscemi is going to play that role very well. We only got pieces of him in this movie, but I think he's going to be exactly what Chris Latta was for the original franchise. I think that's a perfect replacement. And no one can really replace Chris Latta. His history with Transformers and G.I. Joe is submitted, but this is a good second runner-up. Derek, what you got?
What you said about Steve Buscemi, he's a cool actor in general, in anything he does. But I think the role of Starscream and he played, and the way he played it was very good. Very good.
Yeah, I think like when you mentioned Chris Latta, right? I mean that's big shoes to fill. He did a good job. It was he brought that whiny, sniveling character to life, right? Like you said, voice wasn't quite there. We're talking about something we grew up with, right? And trying to replace that particular voice is hard. It was great. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought Buscemi was great beginning to end, before the voice change and after. Before the voice change, he actually reminded me a lot of Steve Blum's Starscream in Prime, which was darker, a little more sinister. And then when he got the voice box damaged, and he sounded more like G1, I thought that was a wonderful way to nod to two different versions of the character.
Yeah, no doubt.
What Ben said. I'm changing my answer. What Ben said.
whatever Ben says.
For me, the jury's still out. I didn't get enough interaction with the character to be able to.
That's fair. I think that's fair as well.
That is fair.
All right, Hemsworth.
Should I go first?
Start with Benny.
Yeah.
Hemsworth was a B. Like, I didn't hate it, I didn't love it, but he did the job. I liked him as Orion quite a bit. I bought him as the younger, fresh-faced, idealistic bot who always thinks there's something bigger and better out there. I really bought him as that. I think this is more of an issue of writing than his actual work. Is once he did the inspo speech to the miners, which I loved that moment. It felt like it happened too fast. And then by the end, they're kind of forcing him to do his Cullen impersonation. And it's like, we actually didn't need him to do that, I think. I think he could have just deepened his voice a little bit, more like his normal speaking voice, right? And just go with it. And maybe in the next movie, you can give us the more older, wiser, Cullen-esque performance. He didn't really need to do that in this movie, but I think they wanted that from him, the directors and so on, and the writers. So I think they tried to force that out of him. They didn't need to do that. So for me, good performance, solid B. I have no problem with it. And I do wish people would understand Peter Cullen is 83 years old.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to do this role forever. And plenty of other actors have done this role in the past. So the people declaring that Cullen is the one and only Prime, guys, he hasn't been the one and only Prime in 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the Prime, but he's not the only one.
Exactly.
He's the benchmark.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember the lamentations when they cast David Kaye as animated Prime. And
he sucked this Prime. I'm gonna be honest, he was not good. Not to me.
I was gonna say it worked really well.
I think he was great for what they were doing.
Yes.
He went in when they, just side note, he did the audition trying to basically do a Cullen, and they told him, no, that's not what we want from you. We don't want your deep voice. We actually want a young voice. So he did what the studio asked him to do, and I think he did it well.
Yeah.
Fire that studio.
Who's up next from Hemsworth?
Rusty.
So interesting that Jedi mindset throughout he said all I heard throughout the movie was Thor. I would say the opposite. I'm always impressed when you see an actor that is from the UK, Australia, somewhere that has an accent, right? Other than a North American English accent, and they're able to run an entire movie sounding like North American, whatever. So I didn't so that was the most impressive part when it comes to voice acting, is that he was able to remove his accent, right, and give us an English speaking Orion Pax Optimus Prime. Same thing that Ben said, really. I mean, it was fine. I wasn't expecting a Peter Cullen. He came out and said before the movie came out, right? So, I'm not trying to be Peter Cullen. Why would I do that, right? So respect to him for, for saying that. Now, maybe he's saying that after he's done all the recordings and they recognize that, no, you're not going to be Peter Cullen and you're never going to be Peter Cullen. And we should probably, say something to that. But, yeah, it was fine. I don't know. Like, I don't really have a good or a bad thing to say about it. It was fine.
With Chris playing this role, I wasn't looking for him to fill Peter Cullen's shoes. As he expressed already that he wasn't trying to do a Peter Cullen. He was going to take the role and do it the way he was asked to do it. And he actually did it exactly the way he was doing. But after the movie was over, the only thing I kept thinking about was how he played Thor in the Marvel movie. You saw, we started out with Thor and how serious his role was. He took it seriously, and he had this serious acumen about him. And then later we got the comedic relief Thor. That's how I thought about this role that he played in reverse. It was like that comedic version of his voice, and trying to be that looser type of person. And then we got the more serious Thor towards the end of it. So again, when it comes to the evolution of these characters, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, y'all know me by now. I'm a huge voice actor fan. So these are things that I notice in each of the performances that are given for these particular characters, and the person that they actually do it with. So but yeah, that's my take. That was my take on Chris Hemsworth and his role. I think he did a great job for what he was trying to do.
Keep it short and sweet. I think he was better as Prime than he was as Orion Pax. He wasn't terrible as Orion Pax, but he was better as Prime to me. I felt that was more believable because he has a more adult voice.
Yeah, he was the one I was most skeptical about going in, and then I spent the first 2/3 of the movie going, "It doesn't sound like Hemsworth to me." The young Pax did not sound straight up Hemsworth. There was hints, but it just didn't sound. And then when I did feel like I got the full Hemsworth voice at the end when he became Optimus Prime, I'm like, that totally worked for me. Like that more mature, growly, gravelly, that he was. I don't know that he was trying to go after a Peter Cullen, but it worked. Is all I can say. So, for me,
yeah.
Alrighty. So let's move on then to the effectively the evolution or the origin of Pax and D16, the buddy story, if you will. And kind of our feelings on how that worked as an origin story, because it is, whether or not it is in the Covenant of Primus or not, it is a new angle on the story that most of us didn't grow up with, right?
Yeah, I started off. I thought it was refreshing, to be able to see Cybertron in its heyday in the beginning. Them not having the ability to transform, them being both regulated to the minds. I thought that was cool to see. It was stuff that I had only heard about in like IDW, and I never read any of that stuff. So it was cool to see it on screen. It was cool to see how they navigated through that world. How Prime was always seeking for more, while Megatron was like, look, we just need to stay cool. If we do this, we'll get to where we need to be. And it's odd because they took a flip. It was almost like Prime was like, no, we need to stay the course. And Megatron was like, no, dang that. Let's burn down the whole world. So it was just kind of weird to see the dichotomy, but I thought it was cool to see, man. It was dope.
Yeah, these roles, man, again, I can't stress it enough. I can't wait to see what they do with this, I mean, this was just written very well. The relationship that they had in the beginning all the way up to the end. It was poetic. It was poetic.
Yeah, it was. It's not the story. So, right, Eric, to your point, right, in that I had read Exodus, I had read the Covenant of Primus, and in there they describe them as brothers against the caste system, right? The ideology that Cybertron was currently, right? So this system that they were stuck in, but they had different ideas as to how they should go about breaking down that system, right? So this idea of them being buddies, right, co-workers, whatever, I was a little put off by the idea when I heard about it initially. But right, to Derek's point, is that story and the movie around it, the whole story was so well written and so well done, and the breakdown of that relationship, right? Like there was no point in the breakdown in that relationship where you went, it was too fast, it didn't make any sense, right? So while I was skeptical, it was well done. You know, it's a refreshing take on the idea, and I think it's more relatable, right, to kids and adults, right, that they can grasp the idea of two friends that, you know, go separate ways, as opposed to trying to spin the idea of two people with similar radical ideas, different approaches that find a commonality to come together and then, right, break apart. I think that's too complex a story to throw into a movie like this. So I think it was well done.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest criticisms that most of the live action Transformers movies in the past 20-ish years have gotten is that they don't have enough emotional core to them. There's not enough emotional attachment you get to them. There's not enough drama, substance, right? It's all just smashy, right? And we can argue about that, but the fact is the relationship between D16 and Orion is the emotional foundation of this movie. It is the foundation that the story rests on. Everything else that happens is a result of that friendship. And their friendship breaking apart is what decides the future of Cybertron. And if they go a G1-esque route, Earth and other planets throughout the galaxy, what we saw in this film decides the fate of multiple worlds across millions of years. And that's significant. The story that we're looking at is not new. I mean, there's Cain and Abel, and our more modern geeky version, Charles and Xavier, right? We just saw that story all over again with Transformers, and I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, man. There's not much that I can add to the what you guys have already said. The only thing that I'm going to focus on is if you take one half of that relationship and you think about Optimus or as Orion Pax in this movie, ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at Hot Rod, and it is what Hot Rod's character was, and why many of us Hot Rod to Rodimus fans loved the character.
Yeah, you're about to ruin this for Brink, but you're not. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
All right.
Absolutely right.
The concept of the Elite Guard and the idea that they're all Decepticons. They were the Flyers, they were Shockwave, they were Soundwave, etc. That concept. First question is, does it come out of the Covenant of the Primes? I haven't read Primus. I haven't read it. 2, how did we feel that fit into the overall story?
I'll jump in first, just answer the Covenant part. So all of the first members that Megatron recruits to be the Decepticons is essentially everybody that we saw that was in the High Guard. Now, I think in Exodus, the Seekers were actually the High Guard. So Starscream and Skywarp and Thundercracker and the rest of those guys were the High Guard. Shockwave and Soundwave were advisors to Megatron right off the bat. He met them in the pits of Chaos, right, in the gladiatorial days. So it fits. It's kind of quick writing, I felt, right, that they just said, oh, everybody that was in the High Guard, right, got kicked out, and just immediately fell under Megatron, right? It would have been more interesting, I think, to see like some kind of split of, you know, some of them believe in the way of Primus and the Primes, and the rest are like, nope, we're not doing that anymore, and they go off with Megatron. You know, how do you how do you write it in? So Brink kind of brought it up just now, right? That they did a lot in under 2 hours, right? So how do you come up with a set of Cybertronians that would side with Optimus and a set of Cybertronians that would side with Megatron in a short amount of time, without coming up with an idea like, oh, everybody that was ejected under Sentinel Prime that was the High Guard and got, sent away or whatever, gives Megatron his army and the miners become Optimus's army, right? It's kind of hard to do that in under 2 hours. So I was okay with it. I got the reason why they wrote it that way. It did feel a little lazy and quick. It does sort of line up with some of the stuff in Exodus and the Covenant of Primus, but it wasn't the main part of the story, so it didn't bug me that much.
I know we're going out of order. Let me jump in. So we're clear. The Elite Guard and the High Guard are two different factions. So the High Guard was, the Seekers when, they were Autobots and they were in charge of making sure the aerial space of the Cybertron was well guarded and so forth. The Elite Guard came later on, where they were Autobot officers. For example, Ultra Magnus was an Elite Guard. Prowl.
Did they use the term elite or high guard in the film?
It was always High Guard.
High Guard.
I apologize for using the term elite. I meant high guard.
Oh, that's good. That's cool. But the Elite Guard came later on. But to speak of the High Guard, I was very intrigued at how they brought in the High Guard and how they explained it. Because a lot of people are used to the lore of the High Guard when you saw the War for Cybertron video games. That's when you were first made aware of it. At least that's where I was. And then after studying it later, that's Starscream and his crew, Starscream, Jetfire at the time, and all of them, they were the High Guard. So, I love the way it was brilliant the way they did it. I think that concept is really gonna, that concept was really cool the way they did it and converted them over into the Decepticon faction as a result of that. So yeah, that was actually, like I said, I think they executed that very well.
All right, Ben.
So I love the High Guard story, sub-story. It's a C story. It's not even a B story, right? Because it did two things that paid great homage to previous incarnations of Transformers history. So the first thing it did was call back to G1. In G1, we were often told that the Autobots were the engineers, the office workers, they weren't the fighters, right? But they found a way to fight, and that's what made them inspiring. The Decepticons were always warriors. Right. So by taking the elite / High Guard of Cybertron, these guys with the train, the best of the best, they were the Marines or Navy or whatever you want to call them of Cybertron, and make them Megatron's followers, it puts Megatron's forces at an immediate advantage over everyone else who are just the miners, the cogless workers and so on. So it fits in that theme. And I hear Huffer's line running through when Huffer's asking Prime in G1, how can we fight these guys? We're not warriors like they are. It echoes in this film. There is a scene that echoes that. And I love that it touched on that. And at the same time, it touched on something which I think some fans thought was lost, but was nodded to, which is the gladiatorial pits, right? So in some modern incarnations of the story, the gladiatorial pits is how the Decepticons rose up and became so powerful. They didn't exactly have that here, but when Megatron's fighting Starscream, that's basically a gladiator pit that they're fighting. Right. And we see the High Guard. That cannot be the first gladiatorial fight that's happened in that pit before, because everyone seemed okay with it and they were cheering it on. So I love that the High Guard nodded to those two elements of Transformers history.
Yeah.
And I love the way they did that to your point, because the expansion of that story, because when Shockwave was about to approach Megatron, because he had went off on Starscream, and Soundwave put his hand, he's like, hold up, let him duke it out, because that told an even deeper story, because it was like, all right, I like this dude, because I had enough of this guy sitting on this throne acting like he the man, but that told an even deeper story right there. So I love that too.
Eric?
Yeah, I think it was enough said, man. I'm not even gonna add on to it. I think it was enough said.
Yeah, I'm good with that too. All right. So then, kind of second to last topic here is going to be, the jokes versus the serious beats. We got a lot of jokes and stuff up in the first part of the, Act 1, and then serious beats started rolling in Act 2, Act 3. Just how do you feel about the overall balance, especially because this is like post, kind of your post feeling after seeing the film, when a lot of us went in thinking, oh, this is going to be a yuckster film.
I'll start that one off. I think it was a good mix, a good balance. Anytime you're building a world and giving a backstory, you got to have all elements of some seriousness, some jokes. And I think they did really good in Act 1. Act 2, you got a little less jokes, a little more seriousness, because now you're getting into the tone of the movie. What are they telling me here? What are they trying to explain? And then at the end, you've pretty much reached the climax. It's full on. All right, we're here now. Let's bring this movie home. But then you still had a couple of jokes in from there and there, because B was still B, right? But even though he was badass, he still had to give you those couple of little jabs there and there. So I thought it was a really good mixture. I think the writing on this movie was well done. And for the first time, I honestly feel like they took the comics and the other media that predated the movies seriously, and they actually watched stuff this time. So
yeah,
I think they get it.
It was an even flow. I think all the jokes and everything were done in the beginning of the movie, and then they handed it when they got to the Bumblebee. When they got the Bumblebee, they handed it off the Bumblebee to carry for the rest of the movie. So to balance it out, because if you're getting pulled too deep into the dark, that's where you're gonna stay. So for a children's movie, because that's essentially what it is. It's Hasbro after all. We have to be mindful of even that. They have to have that flow through the entire movie just to keep everybody afloat, if you will. So I think they did an excellent job with both those aspects.
Ben, I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. I agree with what everyone has said so far, and the way the humor peaked in the first act, leveled off in the second, and then all but vanished except for a few B moments in the third act, is a parallel reflection of the stories that our two main characters are going through, right? Especially Megatron's. So there's plenty of room in their hearts and their sparks for humor, for lightheartedness at the very beginning of the film. By the end of the film, the third act, the stakes are so high and things have gotten so dark and dramatic that there's a lot less room for it. But I was thankful that those moments were in there, such as Bumblebee cutting up the chair and the door and everything unnecessarily, because you need a break. It can't just be dark until the end credits roll. That's not going to make a good film. Forget kids film. That's not good film, period, right? Unless we're watching some Swedish art house film in French, with Chinese subtitles. This is still an animated kids film. At the end of the day, it's got to sell some toys, right? So you got to show off B using his blades, give him some humor, give us a G2 Bumblebee, design reference there, and then let's go back to the dark. And I think they did a really good job of balancing that out throughout the whole film.
I'm glad I let you go first, Ben. That's exactly what I was going to say too, right? Was that the comedy level was at the right level at the right times, right? We had a nice goofy start, tapered off in the middle, got into the serious part, comedy basically went away. The only part I didn't like in regards to the comedy was Shockwave. I didn't like that Shockwave was a comedy role in some instances, right? Like, she punched me in my eye. I just went, what are we doing? That's not Shockwave. Like, come on, I laughed too, right? But I immediately regretted the fact that I was laughing at Shockwave, right? I was going, this isn't my Shockwave. But anyway, it was funny to see a Decepticon character, a future Decepticon character, get a comedy role as well, right? So that was interesting and kind of funny. But yeah, absolutely. The comedy was, I think it was the right amount at the right times, given the progression of the story. I think it was perfectly fine. And same thing with the seriousness, right? Like the ramping up into the serious parts was going in the exact opposite direction, right? So it was a perfect pendulum swing. The only thing I actually had a problem with was the times where somebody got killed was almost too much, given the fact that we were sitting, like I was sitting in the theater, I'm going, this is an animated movie, it's PG, it started off right as a kid's movie, and now it's gotten a little more serious. I mean, we've got, we don't see it on screen, but that Sentinel ran a knife through the head of Maximus, ran a knife through the head of Alpha Trion.
Right.
You know that Megatron ripped Sentinel in two, right? And that stuff I thought was a little bit dark for a movie rated PG that's animated. It's kind of supposed to be directed at kids. As an adult, I thought it was great. But at the same time, I'm in a theater with me and another guy and his 10-year-old daughter, and every time that somebody died in that manner, I kind of went, "Oh!"
Don't go back and watch some of the PG-13 movie or PG movies in the 80s. Yeah.
I was about to say,
right?
I was about to say that there's a lot of dark stuff in our childhood.
There's nudity in some of them. Okay. I don't have anything to add other than that they allowed the deep moments and the serious moments to breathe. And that's one of the mistakes that Marvel movies have made recently is they do not allow the deep and difficult moments to breathe before they come in with the yucks. So, all right. Last, we're going to wrap this up with just a series of a couple questions, and it's just going to be brief on each one of them, which is going to be your favorite nostalgia point of the film, and then are you going to see the film again in theaters? And of course, Ben has already said he's seen it 3 times, so
Well, I'll start it off. You Got the Touch, You Got the Power was probably the one where I was like, oh, that's hilarious. So that was cool. And will I see it again in theaters? Maybe. My oldest girl didn't go with it, so I might take her to go check it out. I'm definitely gonna buy it for sure when it comes out on media. It'll be one for the collection for sure. Derek?
Can you skip me for a second? I'm still thinking about stuff.
All right, Rusty.
Checking my notes. What was the question? Oh, the nostalgic moments. Hold on. There was something about.
your
Oh,
favorite
right.
nostalgic moment.
Okay, so I don't know if anybody caught this because I'll answer the first part of it first. So will I go see it in theaters again? No. Will I watch it again? I've already watched it 3 times. I will admit, I grabbed a pirated copy after I went to the theater to watch it because I wanted to watch it again to compare it. I read the Covenant of Primus. I wanted to go back and watch the movie again, make some notes, be prepared for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason why I did it. So I have seen it 3 times. I will definitely be buying it. I will definitely be watching it again.
The actions and views of Rusty Mechanic are
Do not
necessarily
reflect.
the actions
Right.
or
Right.
views.
Right?
Okay, say who's your corner boy? Because when you said pirated copy, the first thing I thought about was a dude on the corner with duplicated VHS tapes.
No.
And, you know,
Speaking
you
of
put that
nostalgia, so my 2 favorite nostalgic moments were, and Brink already hit on it, was at the beginning of the movie when Orion's in the archives and he puts the card in and he takes it out and he goes and puts it right. That's right back to our Nintendo days, right? How many times do we take the cartridge out, right? Blow on it, put it back in. Yay, the game's working again, right? The second one, and I didn't catch it until I watched it the second time, was when there's a scene where I can't remember if it's Orion or Optimus at this point, but he's back in the mines and he's fighting with Darkwing and he punches him into a corner. Darkwing runs into an arcade machine that falls on top of him.
Yes.
The Pac-Man music plays when the arcade machine falls on top of him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'm like, wait. And I had to go back and play it like 2 or 3 times to make sure that I was hearing what I was hearing. But it's definitely the Pac-Man music is coming out of that arcade machine when it falls on. So that was funny. Good nostalgia. None of those are Transformers nostalgia related, obviously. But those are my 2 favorite nostalgic moments in the movies. I did like those throwbacks to the 80s. So.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, my favorite nostalgic moment because that scene where Megatron had shot Optimus, he was getting ready to go down to the pit, and then he caught his hand. And right before he left, right before he dropped him, he made up in his mind. He's like, I'm tired of saving you. That scene right there reminded me of the Lion King when Mufasa, with Mufasa and Scar. That's the exact scene. That's exactly what it reminded me of, and I was just like, wow, that's polarizing, because that right there. You witnessed the full switch.
At that point, he was gone.
Because it was like it was no turning back at that point, and he was just like, you know what, nah, you gotta go, and then he dropped. So,
well, the beautiful nod there, Derek, too, was when he turns, his eyes go from yellow, the original toy color, to full red, original G1 animated color, and that's when you know it's Megatron.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie was just deep in so many ways. It was crazy.
So, I have so many favorite nostalgic moments. So I'm going to give you my absolute favorite one, and it's probably not one anyone's thinking. And then I'll give a couple like honorary mentions. When I sat down to watch this film, I was very nervous, and I said this in my review on my site, because I wasn't sure if they had nailed it, right? And right at the beginning, when Orion's looking in the archives and he loads the tape that Rusty mentioned, and it starts playing the history of Cybertron, and we see Primus. That Primus is basically an amalgam of the
Cybertron,
Armada trilogy, Primus and Unicron toys.
Right.
And then when he starts transforming, it transforms like the toy.
Like the toy.
And I thought, oh, we're in good hands. I relaxed. My shoulders went down.
You know what? It's funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, as soon as they mentioned Primus, right, and the beginning of I was like, oh, okay. I did the exact same thing. Like, everything that I was worried about just immediately left my body, and I was like, here we go. Yeah, that was a good moment.
And when the thing about that transformation, it's very toyetic.
Yeah.
It's almost clunky the way it looks compared to the other transformations in the film. But they didn't care. They said, whoever watched the Unicron trilogy or owned that toy, they're going to get what we're doing here. And what the filmmakers were telling us through that visual language was, get in your seat, hang on, we get you. We know you're nervous about this film. So right up front, we're going to show you something that shows we're fans too, or we did our research. And that was a huge deal as a nod within the first 10 minutes of the film. Now, the big honorary mention, I don't want to waste everyone's time. The big honorary mention is also going to be a compliment, which is what a great way to sneak cameos in without having to make computer models of them. Doing 5,000 and just showing us scoreboards. And you just have
and just have the names. Yeah.
And sure, they could have just thrown 84, 85 characters in there, but you guys had like Blowout, who was just a G2 GoBot, who almost no one will know unless you're a hardcore fan. They had Mean Streak in there, who was only available in Europe for like a year at the end of G1, early G2. Like, they went deep on those.
They had some of the combiner pieces already. Before combining was a thing. Like, it was cool.
It was awesome. And then, of course, all the background characters that they showed us, Red Alert, Ironhide, RC, Sunstreaker, Brawn, Huffers,
so that's what
creeping around in the background. So keep your eyes open.
So, like, you could cut a few times in that movie too.
Who won the Iacon 5000 in the movie? Anybody?
Chromia.
It
was Chromia.
With Mirage's
the way she passed it was just pure comedy. Man,
it was awesome.
I was like,
freaking
wow.
Awesome. And yes, I've seen it 3 times. I am going to see it again on Saturday. Definitely, probably see myself seeing it at least one more time after that.
Nice.
And see, and Ralphie just hit on it too. See, we can have a really good Transformers movie with no human beings involved.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Until they go to Earth.
Yeah.
Well, until they go to
Cybertron.
Earth. Yeah.
I know, and I'm actually hoping that they do. So Ben kind of alluded to it too, right? Is that I hope they actually do the part where the Cybertronians go out and they leave Cybertron and they explore the universe and they expand, and then the Age of Rust happens and they have to retreat, right? And all the stuff that comes before, right? Like the war is building up, but there were things that were happening before, the culmination of Optimus Prime and Megatron, that I would love to see them do before we get to Earth and the humans, and we throw that aspect in there and everything else. right? This is an alien race, right? We could do so much with exploring and the quintessons, and that's why I say, like, I think the future Transformers looks bright and fantastic. There's so many different ways that they could go with this right now. And please, Paramount, please don't fuck this up, please. I beg of you.
Right. I think my only disappointment was I don't know if it's classified as a disappointment, but I didn't know how to feel about the way they had the quintessons, their design, and how they look and all of that. I didn't know how to feel about that because
so that was that was a Cyberverse thing. That's what they looked like in Transformers Cyberverse, and I was like, oh, okay,
but
Kind of,
I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about, because of the way your quintessons, are. I looked at them and I was like, okay, that's the quintesson judge. That's not the actual quintesson. So they put the quintesson judges in here, but are they going to actually put the
well, this is
that
it.
was the
quintesson guard,
High
the
commander.
quintesson guards,
Yeah,
the
right.
commander. Yeah, not the
He's
quintesson
not
judge.
judge.
Quintesson judges are the five faces.
Yeah.
Five-face quintesson.
So I would love to know that back on Quintessa in this universe, there's a bunch of five-faced dudes running around, hanging around shark dudes. But the guys they send out into the galaxy to do like the dirty work are like the crustacean-based. They definitely have a thing going for sea life. That they're the crustacean-based guys, but they still had the creepy the tentacle vine things happening. And if you look at their arms had a similar design to, I think, the Bailiff.
The Bailiff.
Yeah.
For sure. That was the
Oh,
Bailiff.
yeah.
So
The
there was a lot
spinny
of
arm
nodding
thing.
happening there, and their ships look so creepy. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I meant to refer them to, the quintesson Bailiff, because that's who it actually was. So because of the role that he played, the tentacles, all that, except instead of coming out to the sides, they were just coming out the bottom and whatnot. So
My favorite nostalgic point was the joke deriding the GoBots, because that was like when you were growing up, like Transformers was kind of like your A list and GoBots were your B list, and so I loved that part of it. I will definitely be seeing it again. I'm probably going to be going tomorrow to see it, and I will just end on this. To me, if you really think about it, this was definitely a love letter. There's so much in this that was written for us fans.
I agree.
But yet still, it was accessible enough and kind of opened the arms to a whole new generation of fans.
Yeah,
For sure.
Eric, I'm gonna drag it out just for 30 more seconds because I think we missed a very important question. Organic material on Cybertron.
I mean, that was. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a way to kind of shoehorn that in later. I mean, technically, the quintessons are organic material, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll see more of that as it gets further along.
Yeah.
And
are we looking at Beast Wars? Is Brink right? Are we looking at Beast Wars?
Hell no.
That's Beast Machine's lore. Is that Cybertron was always techno-organic.
Right.
And if you just think about it logically, Primus makes himself into a planet. Organic matter is going to wind up on the surface through comets and asteroids and so on.
Right.
So it makes total sense that life
That
could have
there
evolved over
would
millions
be-
of years.
Yeah. Especially if they're all underground, right? And there's nothing disturbing any of that organic material on top. Yeah.
And I would buy Cybertronian deer by the boatload if they made those.
But my sanity, I need to be all metal right now.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, guys, that brings us to a close. It was a great night tonight. Ben,
Yes,
thanks
indeed.
for joining us. Thank you for
Ben.
coming on,
Thank
giving
you,
us
guys.
that insider scoop. So before we get out of here, guys, we're gonna get some shout outs from where you're at, and then we're gonna go ahead and call it a night. So let's start with our special guest, Ben. Oh, that's right, we got the chat squad. We'll get back to it. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Rusty. Sorry.
You want me to do the shout out now?
No, just do it at the end.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ben-
okay.
Ben, you do your thing.
Thank you. I'm at bwtf.com, Ben's World of Transformers. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Ben's World TF. And I'm also on Twitter /X and Instagram at bwtf_Ben.
Cool, man. Cool. Scotty.
Scab Marble on Facebook, X Bane Reese X on Instagram, and that's about all the social I social.
Derek.
You can find me, Derek Bixby, in your book of faces. You can also find me on Instagram as Derek What B. You can also find me here every other Tuesday. Do you even transform, bro?
Rusty, give a shout out and go ahead and do your chat squad.
I am the Rusty Mechanic, so you can find me on most of your social media platforms as the Rusty Mechanic. And as I noted recently at the beginning of the episode, because I am into motorsports and I love doing all that YouTube stuff, I do have a new channel I just started up called the Rusty Mechanic Drive. So if you're into cars, motorsports, all that stuff, go check me out over there as well. Otherwise, the rest of it is Transformers related, and you can hit me up there.
Amen.
Yeah. Oh, and the shout outs, I'm sorry, and the clipboard. This evening in the chat squad, we had Jeremy B, Toy Mafia, Brink, Eric Von Wolfenstein, Benson Yee, Jedi Mindset, Ash Bailey, Siobhan was in there. Sean Houston, Esteban, Dominic Grasso, Dante, Vendetta, aka Ralphie, Willie Wamo, and 7X_24:16. No idea what that all stands for. I'm sure you can leave a little note in the chat squad and let us know what that's about. But we're glad you're here.
Yeah, man. So, guys, while you're here tonight, don't forget we do have other shows on the Rama Collectors YouTube network. We have ETR, the flagship show, every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We have us every other Tuesday. Do You Transform, Bro? 8 p.m. sharp. We have Wednesdays alternating. We got Figure Banging, and that is next week. But tomorrow, join the Shelf Gravy Kids as they tear stuff apart and put it back together in new customizable ways. And then you can also find the Friday Night Guys every other Friday for the Ram Hatton Project, and that is at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They also do a hangout every other week. And guys, that's it for me. My name's Eric B. You can find me in your Facebook groups, Eric Burgess. I got you, Derek. I see you. You can find me, Eric B, in your Facebook groups, Eric Burgess. You can also find me on Instagram, Mr_EDUP82. Be sure to tune in, guys, for the video game tournament that our foundation is doing this week. If you are in the area, please stop by, come on through, buy a ticket, come and get a chance to win an iPad or some other fun prizes. And then also we're putting in work for that. Toy Drive will be coming up here pretty soon. And then that's pretty much it for me. Derek, you got, oh, that's right. Let me go ahead and show this real quick, guys. We do have our sponsor. Shout out to Nick, the toy guy.
Right.
Pretty cool dude for him to do this for us. So anybody who is paying attention to our show, we are sponsored by Nick the Toy Guy. Head on over to nickthetoyguy.com, get your 10% off your entire order, and also combine that with free shipping where you can save on your next Transformer purchase, or you can also save on other purchases that he has as well. And that is it for me.
Wait a minute. Can you bring up Vendetta's last comment?
Yeah, let me get to it. Let me get to the chat squad.
Just, I want to know if this is true or not.
I doubt it. I wouldn't be surprised, but you know.
Flex!
Y'all got jokes. I'm gonna get you, Ralphie. Good one. Yeah, Derek, you got something to tell the people?
Derek, do it.
Hey guys, if you're gonna transform, roll out. Oh, bye. I ain't had nothing tonight. So
what? Terrible. Take two. Come on.
I had
you
got
have nothing
tonight, you know.
I'll tell you what. I'll do it.
Because what I was gonna do is
say it with me now. Really?